Hey everyone, this is Mike. I am the chief dev, DaVinci Pay, BotLogic. Um, been the architect of how all this tech is designed and implemented in the ecosystem. We're going to start putting together a weekly tech AMA description that's going to go over what we're doing, how we're rolling it out, how it can be used in real life, and how the ecosystem is growing. So earlier today, I put out uh, a message on Discord saying, "Hey, listen, let's do a tech talk. Let's get some questions in, and let's start addressing what's going on within our community." Uh, I don't know if everyone knows how this is all structured. So before we get started, I'll just go into a real simple kind of 50,000 foot aerial view of how this all integrates with each other. So step one is the NSAV side, which is the centralized exchange. But it also has some decentralized applications integrated within it, but it is designed more specifically as the centralized application for users that don't want to hold their own seed phrase, that don't want to hold their own secret keys and things like that. They want that to be managed and powered by somebody else. So NSAV plays that role in that ecosystem. It also is the one that, from a consumer standpoint, is going to have a larger audience because people at this stage of crypto are still trepidatious about how they're going to use crypto in real life transactions. They hear all the horror stories of, oh, my wallet got drained, or this person did this, or this person did that. So the centralized side plays a real big role in being able to assist in kind of segueing and coaching people through the crypto process. We then have the decentralized side, which is now incorporated within the Zeus framework, and Zeus is a layer one chain. It is a proof of authority chain, not proof of stake, not proof of a proof of work. Proof of authority is a chain that has centralized speed, but it is designed more with the decentralized side of having nodes. In this case, the nodes are called validators, and it is a software application that a computer runs, and it validates the smart contract that is layered over the layer one chain. So what that does is it turns around and it has a very, very fast processing time. So it's about 3 seconds. And it is very efficient in gas and cost wise. It costs less than a penny for most transactions. And where that becomes really big is we're rolling out NFT technology and RWA technology. The cost can get ridiculous. So on the Ethereum network, you'll have some chain activities that can go in the upwards of $2,000 to mint and process an NFT that has multiple layers in it. So we're super excited about the Zeus side of things, and we think that it's been a missing piece to the puzzle that's been there for quite a while. If you take that layer one and then you start looking at other applications that we at Bot have developed, so we've got My Airdrop Alert, and My Airdrop Alert, for those of you that don't use it, you should set up the free account because it's absolutely awesome, the basic account. Test it out, and you'll understand why that you need to get this as a regular application in your daily life. This will alert you in a decentralized environment. Any wallet transaction that happens on an EVM, so an Ethereum virtual machine, any transaction that happens on that EVM, you will get alerted either by email or SMS every time a token deposit happens or an NFT deposit happens. And a lot of you might not realize the importance of that, but as a developer, I'll be sitting down and working on transactions, and you'll have multiple transactions going in that are time sensitive. And if you don't have a method and a way to be able to see what's happening, then you're constantly checking the wallet over and over and over again to see if it's there, so then you can continue your work. in this case, that's gone. You don't have to do that at all. You can sit down and you can do your work. You get alerted via SMS or email, and you just keep going. It's an absolutely awesome function. And the basic account gives you a few different tries to see if you like it. And it really works in what you need to do as someone who has decentralized wallets like MetaMask, Trust Wallet, things like that. Then we jump over into DaVinci Pay, and DaVinci Pay is the payment gateway that we developed at Bot that is designed to connect merchants and consumers. Now, recently in DaVinci Pay, we have taken the Ethereum network, the Binance network, these are all chains, Avalanche, Polygon, so Matic, and then Zeus and Base, so Coinbase's decentralized platform. If you combine all those together, you have several 100 million users globally that are on these chains now. That is an enormous audience for us to be able to target to do these types of connectivity between consumers and merchants. The flip side of that is before with DaVinci, we were doing transactions that were P2P, so peer-to-peer, consumer to merchant. So as a consumer, if the merchant says, I accept the MATA token, I would pay for goods and services using the MATA token. The merchant would in turn use the MATA token as the method of payment. This is shifted now with the Zeus chain. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like everyone to think of a sideways funnel. So, you've got the wide end, and then you go down into the spout. DaVinci Pay allows for countless tokens to be used. Those tokens are now at the wide end of the funnel going in. They convert on our own proprietary bridge to Zeus, the Zeus pre-mine token. And the merchant in real time then has the ability to take Zeus as is or convert to fiat in real time. The tokens that were used on the left, the wide spout or the wide spigot, turn around and convert in real time to the Zeus pre-mine again. So the customer, the client, the merchant, no one has any idea what's going on in between. The thing that's powerful about that is that takes the transaction fees and the actual transactions themselves on the Zeus chain, and they grow exponentially. And so while we're in this beta mode, we're on Zeus, we're keeping a very low amount of transaction fees there. But as we launch these things, the transactions are going to go through the roof. I see the value in the DaVinci Pay side. Version 1 was we were doing monthly subscriptions. And what we've learned is merchants, they just don't understand crypto. And so for them, they look at it and say, why am I going to pay $50 or $150 or $350 a month for an application that I'm not going to get any use out of? They're not wrong. I was talking to one of our partners this morning, and what came up was, on my side of things, I am not a social person. So I'm not going to sit down and take the time to go through the education process of why this is important or why this is valuable. I'm a developer. So as a developer, I'm looking at how do we build things from start to finish and bring it to market. That's it. That's what my concern is. So V1, we did start to finish. We brought it to market with DaVinci Pay. It was a subscription model. So, that software as a service subscription model. And quite frankly, I don't think it did nearly as well as it could have. We then reached out to all the merchants on the platform and said, okay, what do you prefer in this? And the overwhelming majority said that they would prefer to have this be transaction fee based. Fast forward, we now look at doing that and doing it with the Zeus layer 1 chain, and we can now control how that happens. So we get to see the fruits of the benefit within the transaction fee and go from there. Phone's ringing. So we're able to do that in a transaction basis. The merchant has no risk. Oh, I don't think this is going to work for me. And they're able to go in and use it. Ironically, in the test cases that we've found that more people are using crypto in the transaction fee environment, and the fees generated are actually higher than what they would have paid if they just paid the monthly subscription. But again, not my job to educate. And then from there, we've added the last component, which is the alley. And as a developer on the alley, we've looked at doing a few things. One is we created a proprietary chat application that links within the ecosystem. So you can talk in straight peer-to-peer, or you can move and create group chats like you would in Telegram or Discord. The cool functionality with this is it's integrated directly into the ecosystem. So you can communicate with everyone and stay on topic and really start building out internal communities that fit your needs. The second is our groups. And with groups, we're able to create channels on the site that allow token projects, equity projects, NFT projects, you name it. They can create a group and start having people create dialogue within that community. It's not a real-time chat functionality like what we have in the member chat, but it is, it's still a really powerful tool, and it lets people go back and see what was said. And it's a hybrid between chat and a message board. So that's been a really fun side of it. And then we have the Alley Cat podcast. And the Alley Cat podcast is what projects are using now as a platform to be able to communicate about what their project is, what their project does, and really start getting the community involved in the day-to-day operations of what that transaction and that project does. We have also incorporated the blockchain database, which is a real-time database that gives you every merchant globally that is, I shouldn't say every, but it's because it's a growing list. It is creating in real time the list of merchants that accept crypto as a form of payment for goods and or services. So it could be a law firm that's taking crypto, or an accounting firm that's taking crypto, or a clothing store, a grocery store, a car dealership, you name it. If they're there, then if they accept it, then they're in the database. What we're getting ready to do with that is we are going to move from being static to where it's just data to where now it'll be interactive, and there will be a button you can click when you find the company, and it will take you either directly to their online store or to a method to interact with them and discuss how they take crypto. So that's a really, really awesome functionality. And then we've added an interactive calendar function that verified projects or verified and approved projects that are in groups can now launch their calendar function, and it will give you what the company is doing or what the project is doing, what their timeline is, and almost keeping it in line with their white paper and their white paper of events, and tracking into the same methodology. And so that's been a really neat kind of a widget to incorporate in this, so projects feel like that they have a further touch points with the customers that they have, or the token holders that they have, or even shareholders. Yeah. So I put out a thing, as I said earlier, for tech questions, and we got a few that came in, so I'm just going to hit these. Before we jump into that, I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of what's going on. We have, in the NSAV side, we have Fonz and team now running what's going on in the day-to-day operations. On the bot side, we have the development, and my team is constantly working on developing the tech, testing the tech, and launching the tech. That's the goal. And a lot of people are constantly hammering about what's going on with LPs and things like that. And one of the things that I think is super important to look at is LPs only work if the utility behind them is formally launched. I did AMAs in the past where we talked about DaVinci Pay. And because the utility in DaVinci Pay was a subscription based model, I feel that launch was, in that timing, was a mistake. I failed in how that was to be done. I wish I would have waited until the utility was ready. And I believe that the subscription model would support that utility. And given the market climate, I was wrong. That being said, I believe going forward that the transactional model is something that has less inherent risk for both the merchant and the consumer. It has huge upside for the development, but it's geared more towards P usage than it is that monthly subscription fee. So it's that old saying, put your money where your mouth is. This is doing just that. And we found that in the beta testing with 100 merchants, the usage is about 4x what it would have been if they would have just stayed with the monthly subscription. So, again, that works for us. So we have that. Now that the utility is being launched for these individual projects, the liquidity side and building the LP side is going to be super important. Last night, we announced that we're launching NFTX for the Zeus chain. And so the minting side of that is done. The RWA side is being published today. And then the new front-end interface is being added, which will showcase the last 20 NFTs that have been minted. From an integration standpoint, we think that that's going to be awesome. We don't want to compete with OpenSea, but within our community, we want to make sure that people can mint NFTs, transfer them between each other. If there's going to be a payment function that's done with DaVinci Pay, it's a real simple and clean process. So proud of that. Fast forward, we're finishing the Zeus X, which is the one swap. So I can swap cross chain on any EVM, and we can swap that where the underlying token is it's a wrapped Zeus, which is a ZRC20 version of the pre-mine token. So it stays in line with that. So what'll happen is the Zeus will get paid for, the wrapped Zeus will get paid for and automatically buy the pre-mined. That way you have that completion of the circle of liquidity of it. So we're doing that, and that is starting testing today. We're going into in-depth testing tonight, and tomorrow one of our dev and funding partners is going to go in and really start messing with it, and we see that that's going to turn around and be a big win, because the partner that's testing this is, they're one of the largest corporations in the world. So it's going to be really neat to see their take on how this is going to incorporate into their online stores. And their logistics and how they're doing home deliveries and all that other stuff. So it's a big win for us. So we're excited. We think that is going to go, and that'll probably take 2 days to finish their testing. And then from there, we'll be going live. And so I would imagine Friday, Saturday, we'll go live with Swap. When that happens, the Zeus pre-mine token will launch in its LP. The wrapped Zeus will launch in its LP. DaVinci Pay for merchants will launch. Div Pay for consumers will launch. MATA will launch because that utility is in place on a transaction base. NSAVX from the CEX side with the chain will launch, and NSAVIP will launch for the VIP applications. These will be dual mined. They will be on the Ethereum network, and they will be on the Zeus chain. We have written a algo that will trade between the exchanges, so between the chains, to be able to support the market in the event there are upticks or downticks that are destabilizing. So I'm excited about that. I think that that's going to be a game changer in the ecosystem in the space, and I think it's going to be awesome for us to be able to sit back and watch how that grows, especially the fact that foundationally the layer one chain becomes the base for all of this. And it becomes a launching pad for the CEX. It becomes a launching pad for, Da Vinci and things like that. And we can continue to expand on that. And as long as we can keep our minting costs down, which is how we built it into the code, I think we can pick up a lot of the business from other chains, which will help us grow. Last on that is, you've heard us talk about the OTC markets and Securitize, who is the transfer agent for NSAB. They're already doing tokenization of equities. They have a BlackRock partnership, and they are doing tokenization of treasuries to start out. They are also doing equities, but we're talking multi-billion-dollar market caps, and the dollar amounts are just enormous that are flowing through that. We're not in that ballgame, but we do see a huge opportunity within the OTC market side to tokenize transactions that are there. So we're already starting to do that. We wrote an algo that is going to start taking the 12,000 OTC companies that are there, and we're going to tokenize them onto the Zeus chain. We're going to mirror the existing cap tables of the OTC company. And so if there's 1 million shares authorized, 70 million issued now, we're going to do a new token that's going to have a total supply of 100 million and a circulating supply of 70. And we're going to follow the mathematical model. We're going to peg the price to a live feed to where, when the actual security is trading, it will mirror within the price valuation of the tokenized version of the stock. We're still in the beta testing on this. We're about what I'd call, let's say, 95% done. But when that happens, we're gonna onboard 12,000 new smart contracts that are tokenized equities, and have access to about 75 million shareholders that, between all of them, could utilize the Zeus chain and all of our other transactions to their benefit. So let's hit the questions that came in. One is, how many smart contracts are we up to? What's going on with Zeus Tech? Can you explain how the LPs funnel through Zeus NSAB is? So I just answered that. Any word on Zeus Tech? So that's still going forward. The Zeus Tech transaction is, they're managing the smart contracts, auditing them. I think it's important to understand how the audits work with this. This isn't like they sit down and it's a CPA that's auditing this stuff. This is a program that goes in and makes sure that the smart contracts that are there's nothing that is a wormhole. There's nothing that is got suspicious code, malicious code, any of that. It's there to make sure that the code is the best format and is not going to hurt a consumer. So we have several hundred smart contracts that operate on the exchange, and that is, and that's not including the actual tokens and coins themselves. From there, we have several hundred others. Those are in the process of being reviewed. I would imagine it's going to be another week or two, but we'll keep you posted as that continues to happen. Another question that came in was, how did we come up with the valuation? So each token project, when it goes to do a listing, does its own valuation because it has its own ecosystem and its own community. So they'll determine, we've put 1 billion tokens out and we believe the value should be a penny. So in the order book, we'll price it out at a scale from starting at a penny offer and scale down from where it is on the bid side to where it is on the offer side. In doing that, the market will correct. They will blend in their community, and it's normally their community that is trading it, and it becomes open to to the overall, in this case, the NSAVX community as well, and they can pick it up at discounts and so on and so forth. So there's the benefits that are there, but they come up with that valuation, not us. The NSAV gets paid, specifically the exchange gets paid in tokens for the services rendered. And those services range anywhere from $7,500 up to $500,000. And then there could be endpoints where, they'll say, okay, we want 25% of the circulating supply. We want 50% of the circulating supply. There's been situations where it's been 50, 60% because they need so much work in their development and things like that. And I know that sounds like crazy, like who in their right mind would do that? But in what we're bringing to the table as far as a launching pad, no one else is doing it. Everyone else is saying, if you build it, they will come. I don't believe in that. I believe that you need to build it, you need to market it, you need to bring people into the community to where they're growing with you. So we've worked very diligently to make that happen. You see these large numbers, and I don't want to get into this because that's a Fawn's territory, but when you see these large numbers that are happening, they're happening because of the dev work that is going into onboarding these projects, both CEX and DEX, and how those projects are going to be growing within the airdrop and swap ecosystems, as well as the order book of the CEX. So that's a really big deal that we see continuing to grow going forward. Let's see what else. We spoke about the calendars, so someone asked about that. Calendars are integrated, but in order for it to be used, the project itself has to be verified as the person who put it forward is authorized to act on behalf of that project. So that takes a little bit longer, but it is valid. Question came in: what is the realistic time frame for all the tech launch and it actually to be usable? So the tech is launching on a daily basis, and it is already usable in certain cases. It just depends on which token you're talking about. We see from our dev side, we see that real scalability of going out and having this. Like right now, there's 27,000 businesses on the platform. We see this growing up to, a couple 100,000 with the integration of GiveBucks and other technologies. We see this growing up to a couple 100,000 by mid-September. And at that point in time, it's extremely useful. I mean, that it's almost a diminished return type of situation. So I'm looking forward to that. Question about virtual broker software. So we've gone through all of the different techs that were there for NSAV. And while there are some that look great, a lot of these are deals that, in my opinion, previous management, it wasn't structured properly. And so there's still communication going back and forth on who's delivering what and who's not delivering. And if they're not delivering, are they getting, is litigation happening, so on and so forth. But that's really a Fawn's function. From a tech side, there's a bunch of great tech that's out there. I can tell you there has been communication with Virtual Broker, and that there are discussions that are software related. There are discussions that are licensing related. There are discussions about, how the two parties can work together. So that is in play. With all the upcoming LPs being launched, what do we have in place to prevent large token holders from dumping on the projects? Will there be a dollar amount or token amount limit for each transaction? It's a great question, right? So we wrote, if any of you guys have gone into the actual chain itself and looked at the smart contracts, we've established several different locking mechanisms that are there in place that you can base on trigger events that are either price, percentage of volume, or a date, so time certain. We have one developed for the developers, so it's called DevLock. We have another one that is airdrop lock. We have another one that is VIP lock. And the VIP lock is geared towards VIPs that are not wanting to stake or form or anything. They will be structured to a limit on what they can do, either based on price, volume, or a specific time. So yeah, there are mechanisms in place that are there to protect not only the price variable, but also the ecosystem as a whole. If the thing's ripping and people are getting out of positions, that's great. What I think is important to remember is if I'm holding a token and it's going up in value, based on the way we have it developed, is value increases or decreases on scarcity. So when you have a token project, we'll use DaVinci. When DaVinci goes from, dub 5 to a penny, the reason that's happening is because the usage is going up and the supply is going down. Really standard. If my price now goes to a penny, my spendability at Kroger's or my spendability at Mike Ward or wherever it is that I want to go buy, my spendability just went up. So I have to use less of my supply internally to go spend and get that value. That is super important for the holder, because now the holder is saying, I have increased the amount that I can use based on the scarcity in the ecosystem. So if the more people understand that and see that and start to begin to realize that that's the reason this is so important, I think that we're going to see the crypto market explode, because people aren't just looking at it as, oh, this is an investment. In our ecosystem, this is the investment is secondary. The investment becomes a bonus. What we see this as is spendability in the ecosystem. And the more we can create functional partnerships, functional projects that do that, the more the spendability becomes a big win for us overall. What do I want to say in closing? So, the bottom line for everything that we're doing is, when you're building community, the reason community is so important is we have guys like Hillbilly and Matt and Stacy, people like that are really keen to the ecosystem. When they understand how to present what we're doing to their individual network, all of a sudden it's going to grow the overall ecosystem. That's what we need from you guys. What we need from you guys is for you to get a better understanding of what the tech is and how that can be utilized. Like, for example, you guys all have crypto projects that you're involved in. We need to be dual mining those and dual minting those on Zeus. Then from there, once we've dual minted that, we need to put that on the CEX. We also then need to be doing interviews with those projects on the alley. We need to get those ecosystems into the group's functionality. We need to have all of these people using the Airdrop X platform. And if they want to start doing swapping capability, they can do that with SwapX. All of these different technologies, they intermingle, they intertwine and make the ecosystem, rock solid. That's big for us. And then I guess I should take one step further, one step back. You guys wanted to know about Black Clouds. So Black Clouds is a public company. I'm not going to get into the public side of things, but their technology, we developed the technology for them. That is their LP partnerships. It is an automated system. So the smart contract takes the money in, creates an LP. It then turns around, and when that LP is launched, in our beta testing and in the various projects that we've done, the LP has, we've averaged a 22x on the jump in a 7-day period. That's epic. The industry as a whole is, like on meme coins and shit coins, they're going upwards of a couple 100,000x. We are not looking at that. We're looking at how do we grow to 22x based on utility. So, because we want to be able to support it. Otherwise, you're not going to have these big, freaking EKG moments of a heart murmur. So we want to make sure that utility is there. Well, the smart contract that we designed for Black takes the funding, it comes in automatic. it goes to a 10x on the multiple. So yes, we've averaged 22, but at a 2x, or sorry, at a 10x on the multiple, 2x automatically gets distributed to the funder's wallet on the Zeus chain, and boom, that's done. We have now found a group of funders through AI that are all participating in various ways. And we're excited about this getting ready to launch. Now, where this is going to get super exciting is each one of these transactions has the ability to be dual mined, dual minted. So we're going to be building on both the Ethereum network and the Zeus network. So there's going to be twice the liquidity. I think that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, remember to tag it in the AMA and tag it as tech, and we'll add it. We're going to do this once a week, and we're just going to keep it really informal and set it up to where you guys were able to have a face with each other. And we're going to go from there. I think it's a good way for us to build and help the community grow. Hope everyone has a good, what is it, Wednesday? God, these are killing me. I hope everyone has a good Wednesday. We'll talk next week.